Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our 12th Managers webinar, if you can believe it. We're going to give everybody a couple more minutes to hop on, so we'll get started very shortly. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in to the next installment of our Managers webinars. For those of you tuning in for the very first time, I'm Bethany, Senior Operations Manager for Hand and Stone.
And I'm Lauren, Regional Operations Manager. So we are so excited to introduce you guys to our next topic, keeping motivation high in spa and within. So managers, you may remember a few months ago, we posted to the managers Facebook page asking for requests on topics that you guys wanted to hear about. And motivation actually was one of our highest requests. So how to motivate the staff, and really just as important, how to motivate yourself.
So first of all, what is motivation and what does this mean in our world? Well, it's how we get people to do their job. It's the why behind someone's desire, willingness, or behavior.
This brings us to our why. So in all areas of our lives, there's a why behind the what in all that we do. Do you guys love competitive sports? Why? Prefer the sidelines? Why? There's a why behind everything. And authors and motivational speakers have become really famous actually over helping people find their why.
In order to keep the team and ourselves motivated, we must find each person's why, understand it, and work to remind ourselves and our team members of it constantly. And most importantly, like Lauren said, we need to find our why.
Yep. And it's like when you're on a plane and they say that, like, in an event of an emergency, place the oxygen mask over your own face before helping anyone else. So we want to really highlight this for all of you. You guys have to take care of and motivate yourself if you hope to do the same for your team. So managers, have you ever thought about what your why is?
Let's get real here. Can you confidently say that you are a good example of a motivated employee in your spa? Because like Lauren said, we can't even begin to motivate others if we aren't motivated ourselves.
And did you know that it's actually a proven fact that goals are achieved faster when they're shared with others? So let's borrow from this concept and share what motivates us. So we'll go first. I'm definitely motivated by a lot of things, but self-growth, money, and Bethany is motivated by money and recognition. So let's take a moment to enter in the comments and questions section. So what is your motivation, everyone? What are you guys doing this all for? What is your why? And let's get specific too. So if your answer is money, are you saving up for something? Is your motivation having a strong team so you don't get your calls on your day off? So what is your why? So let's take a moment and we're going to read some.
All right, so we've got being number one, I see a couple of answers for money, happy team, to help others succeed further, all of the above. These are
Early
great.
retirement.
I see a lot of not only recognition and money, but a lot of people that are motivated by their teams being motivated and having a positive environment and helping them grow and develop. That's actually, I think that's the number one answer on here.
I love this. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Seeing your team succeed, knowing they can reach their goals. I love it. Recognition. So it sounds like
we're all motivated.
The same wise.
Yeah. Early retirement. Yep. All right. So we're all motivated by various things, but in reality, not every part of our day today is rainbows and butterflies. And there's going to come a time when we know our why, that something is getting in our way. What do we do when we hit a roadblock? This can feel like a mountain standing right in our way of having a productive and a positive day. And roadblocks can take different forms too, ones we don't always recognize. And these roadblocks affect not only us, but our teams too. I was in a spa just last week, and we were talking about how a spa associate's conversions had tanked because of a breakup. And we see these in our teams every day. We just need to take time to recognize them in ourselves as well. We tell our teams to leave their personal lives at the door, but it's not always as easy as that. And we need to be realistic about how life can affect our teams and ourselves, and we need to help them overcome this.
So take a look at this chart. Do you guys see any roadblocks that stick out to you? So what keeps you from getting it all done and staying productive and being motivated? We definitely want to hear what your roadblocks are too. So if you haven't already, please share in the questions and chat box. All right, see a couple of things here. Negative staff, not enough time.
Call outs, it looks like. High turnover. Ineffective leads.
Personal issues. So we're really seeing it all here. And some of you guys may even be reminiscing over when you had a certain roadblock, but now you guys are maybe sitting there at your desk having overcome it. So our next guest speaker has overcome plenty of roadblocks herself as a manager of a super successful spa in New Hampshire. And that would be Miss Megan Shea. She's been a manager for over 5 years of Bedford. And she's had to overcome all sorts of roadblocks for her team and for herself. So she's here to kind of get real with us today. So welcome, Megan.
Hi guys.
Thanks so much for being here. We're so glad that you were able to make it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So roadblocks can be super tough for motivation. So you share that you've dealt with many. How did you recognize that you were losing motivation?
So recognizing the motivation, I think is huge. So seeing the lack of motivation and the energy levels in the spa creates a stale and lethargic environment, and it's not conducive to success in the industry, especially since people come to our spas to feel rejuvenated and gain back their own energy. So our success, in sales and repeat and future business is directly related to the energy and the motivation that our staff exhibits. Motivation, energy, passion are all emotions that are contagious. So if you lead with those traits, then your staff will mimic them.
Very true. And I know that you have like 2 young boys at home and a husband that travels for work. So I know that can totally be challenging. So how do you find your balance with that kind of roadblock?
Sure. So for myself, it's keeping organized. It's super important to me. I use a calendar in my phone, my refrigerator, my office. I have one in my car. I have a lot of tools like Google Home. I think there's one in every one of my rooms at my house, and also in my office. It's super, super helpful. It helps me keep organized and feeling like on track. So I also set a schedule for myself at work. So like, for example, like Mondays are payroll days for me, Tuesdays are training, Wednesdays are for orders, and really sticking to that schedule creates a good balance for your workday. It's easy to get caught up in everything at once. And I've had to learn to multitask and yet not overload my day or my brain. And when you're expected to complete certain tasks and have deadlines, you have to be realistic about the time frame you need to complete those tasks, and creating a schedule for yourself is super helpful.
That is so, so, so true. And I speak from experience with that myself too. So what impact have some of these roadblocks had on the spa and your team?
So the impact that it's had on the spa and the team, again, going back to the spa becoming like lethargic and stale, that is really a huge impact. And so when that happens, everything starts to kind of fall apart. Your productivity, your numbers, everything starts to kind of go on a downhill if you're not organized.
Yeah, it's so true. And like you said, it really is contagious. So you have to lead with those traits. So I love that. And I've seen it firsthand since I am your operations manager. Great job of overcoming all of these things. And with all of this being said, what have you done to re-energize yourself?
Yeah, so I've definitely found that when my motivation and energy level is off, it's generally because my balance in life is off. So I have to constantly pay attention to how I feel physically, emotionally, mentally. And when I notice that I am off center, I have to manage myself and take the appropriate measures to get back into center. Refocusing my energy in turns refocuses my staff. This could mean asking your boss or the owner for a day off to clear your mind and be honest about why. Because overload is tough, and sometimes we need to put it away and come back with a clear mind. It could mean getting a massage or just cleaning your space. Being organized is a huge part of what makes me personally able to manage more effectively. My job as a manager isn't just an administrator to my staff, but it's also a mentor and a living example to my employees. So if I'm not motivated and centered, how can I possibly expect my employees to be that way?
Oh my gosh, that's just so incredibly true. And to everyone out there, I mean, really think about that and really think about that. If you're not motivated and centered yourselves, you cannot expect your employees to be. So really good point, Megan. What would you say is the most rewarding part of being a manager for you?
The most rewarding part, being a manager is really seeing my employees learn and grow and into the best, most positive, motivated versions of themselves. When you see them succeed, it gives you a sense of joy, similar to a teacher with their student or a coach with their players on the team.
Yeah, that's very true. And I remember that too as a manager myself. That's hugely motivating and energizing as well. What would you say your advice would be for managers who are currently experiencing a roadblock?
My advice would be, as a manager in roadblock situations, is to just not make being a manager about money and spreadsheets and figures, but remembering that you're human and only one person can do so much at one time. So if you set goals for yourself and like you do for your employees, remember that it's always about people, and that the main purpose of a successful manager is to bring out the very best in their staff. So if you approach management in that way, always analyzing and attempting to find ways to bring out the very best version of people, motivating them and encouraging them and embracing their talents, uniqueness, and individuality, how could you not financially succeed? I mean, recognizing and overcoming roadblocks is something that takes time to master, but when you look at the bigger picture, it can truly make or break a company. Profit is truly, it's simply a byproduct of building relationships. And I do truly believe that anyone can make it all about sales, but at the end of the day, those companies that make it about building relationships with their staff and their customers are far more successful short and long term.
Amen. I couldn't agree more with all of your responses. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. You really got real with us about, your own personal roadblocks and everything. So thank you so much. I'm sure there's some managers out there who are really inspired by your responses. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
All right, so just like we work with our team to break their big goals into bite-sized focuses, we need to do the same with ourselves by giving ourselves bite-sized goals on the daily. So merge your goals for the day with your motivation. Rather than thinking of what should take priority, start the day with the tasks that you find the most fulfilling. This will create a sense of accomplishment that fuels your fire all day long.
And when addressing the day ahead, ask yourself, what are the 3 things that you can do today to drive that profit and performance? So concentrate on 3 small things that you can do that day for this. And this could be as simple as role playing with your spa associates between, say, at least 2 transition hours. It could be delegating call lists for your gift card sale. There are so many ways that we can work to drive profitability and performance and our culture every single day in spa.
Managers, when do you feel are your most productive hours? Perhaps mid-morning is slow with minimal interruptions, and so this is when you save your most challenging tasks for. Be strategic and find that productivity peak. At the end of the day, you will feel so much more accomplished knowing that you hit 3 bite-sized goals today, kept your energy high all day long, and drove sales and performance.
I love it. Love those bite-sized goals. But, let's face it, we're in charge of things that we do love, but there are some things that we don't love and we just kind of have to get done, kind of like Megan was saying. Our motivation is challenged when it's time for those types of tasks. So we need to rely on accountability holders for tasks like these so that we don't push things off or get distracted.
Lauren and I have used and heard of many reliable tools out there to help with productivity, such as Todoist, Toggl, Asana, and more.
Yep, and these apps are really game changers. And guys, I really say this from experience. So there's 2 listed here that I use daily. The 5-second journal is one of them, as well as Toggl. So every day I start my day writing in this journal, and it helps you list your biggest project for the day, why it matters to you, and just along with a few other little prompts to get you into that motivated mindset. Honestly, guys, this takes like 2 minutes to write in, but it really does work wonders for people like me that need that help to stay on track. And Toggl, I use my work day to ensure that I'm being the most productive. So Toggl is a time tracking app, and that allows you to track your daily activities. So it provides you with, and an opportunity to kind of optimize your workflow. So it'll help you identify areas where you can improve. And at the end of the day, it's really eye-opening to go on this app and see where I was my most productive and where I had those gaps that I really, could have gotten a lot more done.
And I'm sure just knowing your timing yourself too helps to keep you on track.
It really, really does. And, my tendency to procrastinate those, have-to tasks was really my main roadblock. But in starting to track my time and everything, it's just naturally really allowed me to enter just a more focused state to get things done. And seeing everything that I've accomplished at the end of the day really just kind of motivates me for my next day. So it's been such a huge help for me.
Slack and Asana can be used for productivity too. Both of these tools allow for multiple members of your team to be on them. So this is a great tool for delegating tasks, both big and small, following up on projects, and even posting announcements or asking questions. The other piece of this, of course, is delegation. You won't always have people knocking on your door saying that they want to do things or they're ready for more. You've got to delegate and figure out what their strengths are.
Amen to that. And we're all real people, and sometimes life gets tough. So we've had our days when we struggle to leave any outside issues at the door. But guys, it's really all about your frame of mind here. So you have to consciously work to shift that. So on days like this, just challenge yourself to use work as an escape. And remember that you want to begin your day with your favorite task. So this is going to really help you shift that mindset a little bit more quickly.
Right, and some may roll their eyes, but positive affirmations go a long way. So consider printing one out to hang at your desk or write one down a few times when you get to work. It could be as simple as I will have a great day or I'm successful. You might think it's cheesy now, but We're challenging you to take a different approach than what you are currently doing, since you're essentially trying to change your frame of mind.
Yep, and I actually do this, and I swear to you guys, it does work wonders no matter how my day started before. So just try it.
Remind yourself of all the amazing accomplishments you're achieving at work. Celebrate every goal from bite size to big, and be your own cheerleader. I catch myself all the time seeing what's still left on my to-do list, and I'm sure many of you out there do the same thing, but we need to shift our mindset. So don't focus on what's left undone. When you drive away for the day, concentrate on one positive impact you had on an employee and a client. We need to take more time to consider all we accomplished in the day.
Yep, it's really all about that self-talk, guys. So make sure you're being positive to yourself. I know it sounds cheesy, but it really does go a long way. And, this last one might be kind of funny, but we can all agree that we're never in a good mindset when we're hungry. So, funny story, I kind of remember being on a field visit with Megan and a manager who was super engaged all day long. And around lunchtime, she was starting to get a little negative and she was turning down all of our ideas. And Megan, being Megan, just bluntly said, I think you need to eat. You are definitely hungry right now. I think you're a little hangry. And honestly, we laughed so hard, and she was exactly right. And we had lunch. We went right back to being productive and engaged. But, I know this is silly, but the point is, especially when you're tackling an issue with an employee or handling a client complaint, you got to do it after your break and set yourself up for success. I mean, if you're going all day long, hungry, you're not going to be in a good mood, right? So eat your food.
You probably, for this next one, you probably have a few names coming to mind already for who your negative Nancy's are. And we need to get to the source. So why are they negative? Are they unhappy about something that it's in our power to fix? If so, let's do so. Negative personalities are toxic, and turnover is much more time consuming than helping just one person overcome their roadblock.
Yep, and a unique solution could be to stagger their breaks. So put them in the break room with just as few people as possible, really, to reduce the spread of that toxic negativity. And check in casually and frequently with them also, potentially offsite in a neutral place, like maybe a Starbucks or a Dunkin', and they'll be less likely to spread their unhappiness if they know that you're on their side. So with this, also spotlight positivity that you see in your spa. You're encouraging a positive attitude by doing this with your own positive approach. And just remember, everyone, that you get out of these interactions exactly what you put in. So when was the last time that you guys complimented a staff member on their hard work? Not only does it help them, but it also helps you shift your mindset and concentrate on the good rather than the negative.
Okay, to that point, I'm going to get a little nerdy. I hope it's okay.
I ran
across something. Yeah. I ran across something called mirror neurons. And for those of you who don't know what they are, they're neurons in our brains that play a part in empathy. So people say, for example, all the time that laughter is contagious, and it's because of these. So to that point, how you react to other people's emotions can in turn impact them, and vice versa. So you can't allow yourself to absorb someone else's negativity. Otherwise, you will in turn pass it on to every other team member that you encounter, and you may not recognize it, but all of a sudden you've become a part in spreading that toxic negativity. The power of positivity sounds corny, but it legitimately works.
And at the end of the day, sometimes we just have to accept that these personalities won't necessarily change. So we can't devote all of our time to the people that won't benefit from it and ignore the other 20 or so that are working hard for us. And we have a simple solution for turnover affecting motivation. I know that was a lot of your roadblocks. And it's as simple as always be recruiting. So if you're constantly hiring and recruiting, you're no longer reacting to that turnover. And I know it may sound crazy to spend time recruiting when you don't necessarily need someone. But guys, if you haven't interviewed a spa associate position in the past 2 weeks, you're behind.
It's true. And being proactive about this can also help you be excited to bring new people on rather than feel like you've hit a new roadblock. A spa associate that stays with you for 10 years as a spa associate honestly isn't a very motivated spa associate. So turnover is something we need to accept. Ensure you are always working to create and uphold a positive working environment. And our employee engagement toolkit is a great spot to get some ideas. Perhaps one of the biggest reasons we lose motivation also is the feeling of being burnt out. I know I've been there. And when we feel this way, it seems impossible to get anything done or see the positive big picture. So don't let yourself hit this point. Set a quit time for tasks and hold yourself to it. And sometimes the reason we feel burnt out is because of those phone calls too that we receive on our off time. And I'm sure you're all nodding in agreement right now.
Yeah, Bethany and I were both spa managers once, and we experienced this too. So we really get how frustrating this can be. And now, guys, this may be hard to hear, but fixing the problem does start with you. So when you're coaching your team, do you often step in and just say, finish the transaction for them? When they call you on your off time, do you just give them an answer so that you can hang up?
Instructing your staff will lead to more phone calls, but guiding them will create confident critical thinkers who will stand on their own 2 feet, which is like the dream team. So allow your staff to figure this out. Guide them by asking, what do you think the best solution for this would be? And instead of fixing their mistakes, make them fix it with your guidance, of course.
You also need to trust. So there are many things that don't need to be done with your own 2 hands. And you guys are standing in your own way of doing things the right way by not delegating them. So as you guide your staff, look for tasks that you can delegate to them to lighten your workload and trust that you've guided them on how to do it correctly. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? They make a mistake, it happens. So trust that your team can handle more and guide them to success.
All of this is going to help you be able to set better boundaries on your off time. When a staff member does call you on your off time, let it go to voicemail. I know that's incredibly scary to think about, but just let it go to voicemail. Listen to the voicemail. From there, determine if it's urgent. And if it's not, wait about 10 to 15 minutes to call back. Chances are, and as this has happened to me, by the time you call back, they will have solved it. And you'll likely see this become a pattern too, where they'll have their questions solved by the time you call back. And eventually, it will ultimately lead to increased confidence in your team when it comes to solving their problems and less of those phone calls. This, again, it's going to help you create those boundaries with your staff.
Our fellow ops manager, Chelsea, was recently in a spa where the manager was feeling super burnt out due to those constant phone calls on her off time. And Chelsea and the manager were really proactive about this issue, and they created this manager's communication chart for the staff. So as you guys can see here, there's a point of contact for every single issue and a yes or no next to if that contact should be contacted for this type of issue on their off time. And you'll see that there's only one level that warrants a phone call. So we'll be uploading this editable chart to LMS for all of you guys to use, and I hope that this is a huge help to you.
All right, so we've been talking a lot about our whys, but we need to understand our staff's why also in order to keep them motivated. So do you know what motivates your staff? It's different for everybody. So take a few minutes to write in the comments and questions what motivates some of your team members. All right, I see lots of answers for food. We have a lot of food motivated teams. I see position of leadership, recognition, money and prizes.
Being understanding, I like that. Treasure chest, love the treasure chest idea. Sticker boards. Isn't it crazy how many essays just love a good sticker board? Love it. So the point is, when you guys understand the why of your team, you can partner on passions, incentivize effectively, give ownership of goals, and understand how to execute the most effective acts of employee appreciation.
And you might be wondering what we mean exactly by partnering on passions. Does anyone out there have a service provider or spa associate who helps with training? That trainer may be passionate about teaching others proper techniques or sales tactics, and you gave them this position after learning or seeing this, and that is partnering on passions.
And partnering on passions helps you delegate effectively, leading to more time to do priority and enjoyable tasks. And there are many ways that we can partner on passion. So managers out there, do you guys have any specialist positions at your spa that you created for those that did have that passion? Let's share that in the comments. I'm sure there's a lot of really cool specialist positions out there from this.
I see a couple of trainers, a couple of answers for trainers.
Member retention specialist, spa coordinator, spa party coordinator, very cool.
Ooh. Membership coordinator. I love these. So a lot of partnering with the front desk in particular on passions. Fantastic. Knowing what motivates your team members will help you drive performance through effectively incentivizing. So there are so many managers out there who hold contests all the time and can't figure out why it doesn't motivate their staff to perform. But think about it. What's the prize? What motivates you might not be what motivates your team. Is it money, pizza party, bragging rights? We need to recognize if you're running contests the same way you have for years, chances are it doesn't work the same way for your current team that it did initially. And with all the turnover that we experience, we need to be sure we consider what motivates our current team members.
Yep, and it's important to note that there's nothing wrong with just simply asking your team members what motivates them. So this point leads us to effective employee appreciation. So when we understand what makes our team members tick, we can begin to create a better culture that suits that why. So there are many providers out there that are motivated by pride. So spotlights such as Employee of the Month are going to work wonders here. And some are motivated by just the happiness that they feel working with their coworkers. So those pizza parties, those cupcakes on birthdays, they're going to go far. As cheesy as it is, guys, get on board here. And for the money-hungry staff, contests and bonuses for performance are key.
All right, guys. It may seem crazy to interview people who already have the job, but this is the point. We pay close attention to what kind of addition someone will be to our team when we initially interview them, but that is when they are the best they'll ever be. We need to remember their best selves aren't necessarily who they are consistently, and take into account who they are when they get comfortable, when their low points become the norm for them, or what about when it becomes a pattern that the entire team adopts? We need to revisit what their why is. Consider why they are on this career path and why they interviewed with us in the first place. Then find out how we can better support them. And part of understanding how to motivate your team is also understanding a bit more about their personality. So how they learn and other personality traits that define them. Identifying what kind of employee they are can help you recognize and work through any roadblocks they might run into. When the source meets the solution, that is when we reach high motivation. And these profiles that you see on the screen are taken from our Spa Associate Learning Profile chart. As you can see, not all are motivated by the same things.
I can definitely think back to some sales associates from my managing days that fit a lot of these categories. So I had a lot of hands-on learners, and I definitely had a teacher's pet too. So managers, if you're having trouble figuring out what keeps your SA team motivated, we highly recommend looking at this document. You're going to take a look, categorize each essay into a category, and change your approach to match. You'll be amazed at how this changes the game. And our next guest speaker experienced just that.
So we'd like to introduce Ashley, who's going to be our next guest speaker. She's the manager of Spring Lake, New Jersey, and she's been with Hand & Stone for over 6 years, but she hasn't always been a manager. In her roles, she's really perfected the balance of humility and leadership, and we are so excited to welcome her on to speak with us today. Ashley, do we have you?
You have me.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us. So we talked a little bit about a specific exercise that you performed recently regarding the Spa Associate Learning Profiles. Can you tell us a little bit more about it and what it entailed?
Absolutely. So recently my managing partner, Siobhan, and I, who just had a baby, so shout out Siobhan, we were trying to kind of revisit the essay learning profiles with a suggestion of Megan Lowry. And we really had a couple of new essays, and we just assumed, like I'm sure so many of the managers do, that, you know, we kind of knew how to communicate with them, we knew what they were motivated by, but we were really surprised by sitting down and doing this exercise that we really got to take a closer look.
Hey, Ashley, I'm going to pause you very quickly. We absolutely love your responses, and we want to make sure that everybody can hear them. Can you try getting a little bit closer to the phone?
Sure. Is this better?
That's fabulous. Okay. Take it from the top. Tell us all about your exercise with the Spa Associate Learning Profiles.
Okay, so my managing partner, Siobhan, and I really sat down, and instead of viewing our spa associates essentially as a team, we talked about them as individuals and recognized that they were totally different from each other, and we needed to take the time to sit out, review each individual profile, and find where exactly that particular spa associate fit.
Okay, I love it. And I think you'd made a point too about how one of the big considerations that you took in when you were looking at this was how they responded to feedback. Tell me what else you learned from this, and were there any of these profile matches that surprised you?
I think that there were actually several profiles that did surprise us because we, you know, when you first read over the profiles, you automatically make an assumption of, oh, this sounds like so-and-so, or this sounds like so-and-so. But when you really get down into it and start reviewing any observations you made in particular to the spa associate, that they actually might fit into something totally different. And that is really eye-opening and enlightening in a way, so that you can figure out where you can take it from there. So Siobhan and I both really learned how to more appropriately communicate with our team. You know, we also just naturally make assumptions that maybe everybody might be motivated by money, but you'd be surprised how many spa associates are actually just motivated by you taking the time out and praising them and saying, you know what, I noticed you did this and that was amazing. That is so great, and this is why. And, you know, kind of hitting the pause button and reapproaching how we communicate all together.
So how did all this help you become a better leader?
It actually helped me become a better leader because I knew that I needed to adjust the way that I communicated with my team. You know, what may have worked last year with one team maybe doesn't work anymore, and we're always changing, we're always evolving, and figuring out the most appropriate and beneficial way to communicate with the team is really crucial. I felt that it was crucial to me specifically because I realized that I wasn't devoting enough time to my team by observing them and seeing, you know, important ways that they could be better in a more positive way. And by doing that, I feel that it made me a better leader because it really opened my eyes specifically.
Out of curiosity, did finding the motivation of each spa associate do anything for your motivation?
Absolutely. Seeing my team so much more motivated is what motivates me. I mean, like we were, earlier in the webinar, yes, I'm also motivated by money. I have to pay my bills, but I think that at the end of the day, I mean, I spend more time with my coworkers than I do really anybody else. So seeing them happy and seeing them proud of themselves is what ultimately continues my motivation, because by taking the time out for them, they're going to believe in themselves, and they're going to want to go above and beyond and better themselves, if that makes sense.
It does. And I love the point that you made when we were talking about this, about how it boosted your confidence in the messages that you were delivering, because now you felt
Definitely.
you adjusted so that your communication was exactly what they needed. And I thought that was a really good point.
It is, and it's really important, because it wasn't the spa associates that needed to be adjusted. I mean, it really was how I needed to adjust myself. I needed to adjust my approach. I needed to adjust my feedback and how, like I said, how I communicate with them, and finding a new way that was fresh for them, and figuring out what was going to help them at the end of the day.
That's a really great point. And we know there's a lot of really busy spas out there, especially y'all's in particular. What would be your advice to managers looking to find time to do this in their spa?
It is true. It can be really difficult. I would always say to Megan, when she would say, you have to do these observations, I would say, I just don't have the time, and I don't know how to find the time. But it's not so much, finding chunks of hours, and Megan pointed that out. It takes 20 minutes to observe the top of the hour, and you really can't afford not to. And I recognize that in just doing the observations during our field visit. I was so upset and so shocked at some of the things that I saw, and I never would have seen that if I didn't take the time to sit down. And it's not doing our associates any justice for me to not give them that time. It's not for me, it's for them. And that is so important. Our customer service, we hear from clients all the time how wonderful our customer service is. And that is something that's so important to me as a leader, to continue that, because we are in an area where there are multiple massage chains. So our clients are choosing to come to us, and our associates are the first people that they deal with. So by me setting out time to devote to them is really crucial. So I think that is just, it's so much more worth the additional time to hit the pause button and actually devote that specific time to the associates.
That's a really great point. And I mean, that's like, it's your roadmap for how to coach them and what they need. And it helps to make sure you're spending your time with them wisely, also training them on what they need instead of what you may feel like they need. These are great points. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share these with us. And I love all of this information. I can already think of a couple of ways that I want to apply it myself. But thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing and for hopping on and speaking with us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. You have a great afternoon. All right. So you've gotten a lot of really great tips from Ashley, from Megan. We wanted to share, Lauren and I wanted to share a little bit about what our favorite ways to stay motivated and on top of things were in spa. Because if we're honest, Lauren and I struggle with the same issues. How do we keep motivation high for ourselves and for each other? So personally, my favorite tool is the 5-second journal. I use it every morning before I leave home. I sit down, I take 10 minutes, drink a cup of coffee, and take, just a couple of minutes to write in there, and it really sets the tone of productivity for my day.
Yeah, and you guys have all heard how much I love the 5-second journal too, and the Toggle app. And for me, it really is all just about mindset and staying organized. So I use Todoist, which we showed you earlier, and that's kind of similar to Asana or Slack. And it just helps me keep track of all my to-do lists and projects. And I also, of course, keep on tracking my time on Toggle. But the biggest thing for me with mindset is definitely podcasts. So On my drives to work in the different spas, I choose different podcasts that keep me motivated and positive, and sometimes they even give me really good ideas for my day ahead. So that's what I do.
Love it.
And managers, conference is right around the corner. So Bethany and I can't wait to meet you all. Your input is really what truly makes this webinar, and we want to make sure that we deliver a breakout session that you guys won't forget. So you may recall seeing an email with a survey. This is going to help shape the topic that we bring to you. So if you haven't yet, just take a few moments to share with us through that survey in your email what topics that you guys want to hear about at this conference session and what the biggest challenges you face as a manager are. I'm going to post that on the Facebook page for easy access for those who can't find the email. So make sure you take that survey.
And it's a good thing you all know how to become more motivated now, because we're about to head into our busiest season of the year. We have our webinar on Thursday, this Thursday, that launches our new gift card program with brand new spa packages that include our newest services. And there are very important steps you'll need to take as a spa manager or an owner in order to offer these packages in your spa. So make sure you tune in. And our next managers webinar will be on October 15th at 11:15. And it is also going to be all about how you can slay gift card season. It's going to have fresh best practices from managers in the field, all of the changes that are coming this year, and some really great tips for managers from seasoned spas that have been open since the dawn of time to spas that have only been open a year or two. So make sure you tune in for this. We will have a ton of really great tips to help you stay on track, stay motivated, and just kill it this gift card season. Thank you all so much for joining us today for Keeping Motivated.
Yes, thank you all.
On Within, and we look forward to seeing you all on the gift card webinar this coming Thursday, and then again on October 15th. Y'all have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.